Hey friends, thank you for checking out the RPM Sports Media YouTube page. I do ask you, subscribe, like it, share it, tell your friends, tell people you don't like about all the cool stuff that we have here on the YouTube channel. Totally free. Of course, you get the weekly episodes of Dirty Air with Rodney Rodriguez, and then you get the Revved Up Sports Show with Bobby Chaffee and myself each and every Monday evening that you can consume right there. And started to add some bonus content on the channel where usually racing related as we go through the years to come. It's going to grow. It's just different really cool things that have happened in sports, whether it be football, baseball, basketball, but very racing centric, because that obviously is the fan base of what we have had on the channel here for the longest time. So again, thanks for checking in on YouTube. And kind of talking about some of the bonus content that I've been talking about. What I've kind of started to do here recently is kind of go back and share some of the special events, special dates in history. And it's been NASCAR here starting out. We had our Bobby and Terry Labonte going back to the championship for Terry and Bobby riding along with him. We talked about that one last week and kind of recapped some of the highlights. But doing this today, November the 15th, 2023 is the date today. And I want to go back in time to November the 14th, 1992. And if you are a tried and true NASCAR fan, I say that date, and I probably don't need to say anything else, because that was the day where if you were a NASCAR fan, you were glued to ESPN television for the season finale of the 1992 NASCAR Winston Cup season. And that is one of the, I put it hand in hand with the modern day races that I've been a NASCAR fan since the early 70s, but I can go to this 1992 race and I put it right there with the 1979 Daytona 500 in races that have been so imperative in the growth of NASCAR, in mainstream NASCAR. And this race had so many different storylines. For one thing that it had was just a point race that was unbelievable going into the season finale there at Atlanta. And of course, this was the old Atlanta configuration. And kind of some backstory on this. I had actually been to Atlanta, I think in 1995. I was able to go watch the season finale there. So I was pretty familiar there with how to get there and what the racetrack configured like and so forth. But going into this race, you had something that you didn't really see back in those times. Of course, these were days of before NASCAR playoffs and before stage races and playoff resets and all this. You actually had a points race as you went into the season finale where you had at least 5 guys, maybe 6, depending who you ask, that could have walked out of Hampton, Georgia that Sunday evening with the 1992 Winston Cup Championship. And you had Davey Allison going in, driving the number 28 Texaco Havoline Ford for Robert Yates Racing. And what a season he had had. It was ups and downs and very much the career of Davey Allison. It was, you'd seen the trials and tribulations. You'd seen the best of the best. And then you'd seen some very dark times. And going into the race, you had a second place contender by the name of Alan Kulwicki. And this was a guy that campaigned his own team. He drove the Hooters Ford Underbird, as in underdog, going in, his own team. Can you imagine that? The guy went in doing this all by himself. Great sponsorship from Hooters. Then you had Bill Elliott, and this was a guy who had achieved a NASCAR championship at one point. I believe it was 1988. A NASCAR championship. They're driving for his number 9 Melling team in the Ford. And at this point, he had moved over that year and was driving for what in the past was his biggest rival. I mean, the championship battles that he had with Darrell Waltrip, it was Junior Johnson. But at this point, Junior Johnson had gone to the Fords, and Bill Elliott had a tremendous year and was sitting third in the standings. And then you had in fourth, you had handsome Harry Gant, driver of car number 33. I mean, Mr. September. What a resume. The young dude, the dude that was a youngster breaking into NASCAR in his early 40s back in the 80s. You had Harry Gant. And then you had the Prince. you had Kyle Petty driving for Felix Sabatis in the mellow yellow Pontiac. It was a good year for Kyle, and there was an opportunity there for Kyle to possibly punch that championship. Harry and Kyle, it was going to be really hard for them to be able to make that happen, but they were still in the hunt, and that was part of the nostalgia of this. And with the race, of course, you had the end of an era. King Richard Petty, the king. Randleman, North Carolina, the man that put NASCAR on the map, that so many folks, when you thought NASCAR, you thought of Richard Petty because he's the king. And then here's this youngster coming up out of Indiana, driving a multicolored car for Rick Hendrick by the name of Jeff Gordon, who went on to do some really good things as time passed on, actually shortly after 1992. It's a day that will forever live in the laurels of NASCAR history. And I thought that it would be really cool to dive on the page right here and let's recount a little bit of that race. Let's go back and chronicle the 1992.
The crowd rises to its feet, salutes the field as it comes down. The green flag waves and the Hooters 500 is underway. Spin. Bodine is in the fence. So is Rick Mast.
Oh, no. Davey got through. Kyle Petty got through. I think I saw Alan Kowicki on the bottom of the racetrack getting through.
There
that didn't take long, did it, guys?
Cars that are heavily damaged. The caution flag
and all
is...
that happening right there. You had Rick Mast up at the front of the field. There was Brett Bodine, and a few years later, this was 1992. Of course, you had Brett Bodine in that familiar Kenny Bernstein number 26, where he would have a another very famous NASCAR moment with his brother Jeff Bodine at the 1994 Brickyard 400, which I also have on my list of races that I want to share with you guys. But there's the start of that race right there. Davey Allison was able to get through. That was the closest one to any of that, but that set the stage for what this day brought us, because this day at Atlanta was that so many times over and over. And that really was just the beginning. Let's go back and watch.
Bill Elliott got through.
Then they're racing back to the line. They're racing back to the line, trying to lead a lap. Here they come. Mark Martin trying desperately to lead a lap and get 5 bonus points. But Dale Earnhardt won't win.
Rick Mast, the pole sitter, is heavily damaged in the right front and in the right rear of the car. The accident occurred as the cars went into turn number 1 after they had completed just 1 lap. Here's what happened. Bodine was in the lead as they crossed the stripe, but Rick Mast was right there on the outside, and then Brett's car got out from under him.
Got out from under him. Rick Mast spins, and we see all the cars going by on the inside. And Mark Martin, what a great job he's doing saving that automobile. Kowicki turned the car left. Now here comes, who is that yellow car? Is that 41?
I believe it.
Is that Hud Strickland in the Kellogg's Cornflakes car?
Here's the green flag. We're back to racing.
Here they are, 3 abreast coming off the second corner. Kowicki drove up on the outside of Elliott, made it 3 abreast. Meanwhile, Rusty Wallace trying to get by Kowicki. That was on the inside of Bill Elliott.
First 4 cars actually have broken away from the rest of the field. There's Bill Elliott and Alan Kulwicki running nose to tail. Sterling Marlin behind Alan.
These cars are going in these turns at about 200 miles an hour.
Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace almost contact on pit road. Earnhardt has run out of fuel. He radioed the crew just a moment ago, said the fuel pressure gauge has fluctuated. Guys, I got to come in now. And Rusty Wallace is pushing him, trying to get him in assistance down pit road. They are running very, very slowly, and Earnhardt is totally out of fuel. The car number 3 is not running. He is coasting down.
That you're going to notice the more that we continue to chronicle this day, and again, this is a very condensed version of this race. Obviously, a 500-mile race, and thanks to the great folks there on YouTube that have allowed me to use this for part of the presentation here as we're going back in time to review this and celebrate this great day. Just a couple of things I want to point out to you. Number one, look at the competition right here. I mean, this is nose to tail action. We just watched a race where Ross Chastain caught a lot of I guess he caught a lot of shit because he wasn't given a lot of ground to championship contenders this past year at the end of the race in Phoenix. Go back and watch this. There's nobody giving anyone any sort of ground. And this is with drivers coming in here just minuscule points apart coming into this. And the competition in this race is just hot and heavy as it continues to go. And one thing I do want to point out, take a look at those in-car cameras and think back to 1979. Which, obviously hadn't been that long ago, how the technology had gotten so much better with what ESPN was doing with racing at the time, to where obviously this is in standard definition watching the replay of this. But, I mean, take a look at that stuff right there, man. That's how cool that had gotten to that point, to where the race presentation was just so good at that point in 1992.
Down pit road, Richard Childress and the crew standing here with a bottle of ether to try to get the car refired. And now it quietly, can you believe the luck that Dale Earnhardt has had in 1992? The Goodrich crew goes to work. They will change all 4 tires down here. And Kyle Petty is making an entrance on the pit road. Let's go to John Kernan.
Jerry, they've already done right side tires, left side. What's going on? Kyle gets down and away. A pretty fast pit stop for the Mellow Yellow crew. Back down pit road to Jerry Punch.
Work going on the right side and left side for the Kodak Film Chevrolet for Ernie Irvin, who would have been the lead car. They put right side tires on, the crew scampering around. They are pushing Dale Earnhardt's car wide to get that car fired, and now Earnhardt's car does refire as the Purelator car goes by. And the car number 4 going out. Here is Jeff Bodine leaving pit road. And the car number 30 has spun. The Pennzoil Pontiac has spun. We should be seeing caution here at Atlanta.
We do see caution. Doyle Ford is waving the caution flag because of Michael Waltrip's spin.
Unbelievable. All these guys ran out of fuel, and before some of the cars could make their pit stop, the caution comes out as Michael Waltrip, the Pennzoil Pontiac, comes off the corner, and around he goes.
No contact with any other driver. The car just broke loose at the top of the racetrack in turn 2, and then he backed it into the wall on the back stretch, and then may have made contact. Don't think he did, but you could see the left front tire blow there.
But boy, these points leaders, did they get Bill Elliott, Davey Allison, Alan Kulwicki had not made their pit stops. These fellas have got several of good cars a lap down now. Man, Elliott is leading the race. That's 5.
And one thing there and let me just tell you from a broadcaster, announcer standpoint, I got to talk to Bob Jenkins before he passed on one of our shows, and there with Benny Parsons. What a tandem of race. I mean, was there a better team? I mean, there have been so many great duos that have called races, but as you're watching here, you're kind of starting to see the unpredictability of what was going to happen in this race. And you've had a couple of different times now where you've had situations where the point leaders have managed to get themselves through possible excursions. You had that right there with Mikey Waltrip in the Pennzoil Pontiac driving for Bob Bear. So you had that, and everybody still able to get through. But as the day went on, the incidents continued to happen. But some of that luck, some of that the rabbit's feet, possibly, that some of these point leaders had, began to
Bonus points.
That helps him close the gap. Trying to win his second Winston Cup championship. There he is, Bill Elliott leading the race. Second is Alan Kulwicki.
Now then, when they make their pit stop, will Davey stay on the racetrack, lead the race, and get 5 bonus points? Will Kulwicki? What do you think?
Well, I don't know. They're going to be giving up a lot of track position.
I know they are. Let's see how this plays out.
And
Boy, don't you know these radios are going back and forth. What do we do? What do we do? Hey, guys, make that call. I'm not going. Here comes Bill. Here comes Alan.
Let's see what Davey does. Davey's to the inside. Yeah, he's coming in. Mark Martin is in. Ricky Rudd and others. Very slowly down pit road.
Now, all these cars that you see coming down pit road had not pitted. Jerry Punch, here they come.
And Alan Kulwicki's Hooters crew will go to work on that car. Car number 7 on the bottom of your screen. You're watching the Haviland crew on the top of your screen. 2 competing teams trying to win a race and win a championship. Watching the Haviland crew now. Right side, tires already going on. Left side, lug nuts coming off. They have fueled the car. They have yet to work on that body damage on the left rear of the Haviland car. Meanwhile, Alan Kulwicki cannot get his car in gear. Finally gets in gear. The car number 11 exits pit road. That is the Budweiser car of Bill Elliott. And now Davey Allison heads back to turn 1.
This, you wouldn't believe the guy running about 10th is leading the race, but that's what's happening. Bill Elliott is the leader, and all these cars in front of Elliott laps down, trying to stay on the tail of the lead lap, and hope the caution flag comes out so they can get that lap back. And once again, gas has played into Bill Elliott's hands. Remember in the spring, he did not have the best car here, but he won the race.
And how about this right here, guys? You've got the leaders stuck behind all of these race cars. Unbelievable the tone this race was taking.
Team, they stayed out as long as they could, caught the yellow that they needed. That allowed Bill Elliott to win one of his 4 races in the early part of the 92 season.
Meanwhile, as we watch this, Ernie Irvin has driven by Dale Earnhardt. Remember how they led the race earlier on?
Here is Alan Kulwicki going to the inside of Bill, and this is the battle for the lead. And I believe Alan Kulwicki would get 5 bonus points for leading that lap. He was slightly ahead of Bill when they crossed the line.
And the point and the scoring stand is here at the start-finish line in Atlanta. If the scoring stand is another location, now here comes Rudd on the outside of Kulwicki.
Well, he will get credit for leading that lap, and thus has led in 20 races during the 1992 season, more than any other driver.
Crash down the front straightaway.
Ken Schrader, Wally Dallenbach,
Darrell Waltrip's involved.
and Richard Petty is flaming going into turn number 1.
He's knocked the oil cooler off his car, and the oil is on fire.
Richard Petty, the car is on fire. Petty has got the car stopped.
It'll extinguisher. It'll go out. That was Richard yelling to his crew, get a fire extinguisher down here.
Yeah, they got there. I pulled up to the fire truck.
Richard said, I pulled to the fire truck.
Well, I'll tell you, that's a great presence of mind, right?
And what a way for the career of Richard Petty to end. Let's not say right now, though, that his race is over. They could get the car back going, but I doubt it.
Once again, Bill Elliott.
How big is that right there,
got
guys?
through a crash. I didn't see what happened in the crash. I just
How
looked
big
up.
is that? That moment right there for Richard Petty. You talk about going out in a blaze of glory. Richard Petty, it had been tough sledding for him. Picked up that 200th win July 4th of 1984 at the Firecracker 400 at Daytona. hadn't had a win since then. Honestly, hadn't even really been very close. You had the massive accident at the 1988 Daytona 500 going end over end, and the classic story where Richard laying in the infield medical center there, had gotten through all of that, and his wife Linda walks up and, looks over at him, and he looks up, and Richard's words to Miss Linda have always been, I'm going to do this until I'm going to do it until it's not fun anymore. And Linda looks down and says, "You still call this fun?" How many times have we as racers, kind of had that mindset right there? But that's kind of the final parting gift that you had with Richard Petty there in this race that, as I said, it was the end of one legendary career and the beginning of another. But we'll get to that part here a little bit later on. But let's rejoin once again another massive melee. And somehow all of the point leaders managed to get themselves through. And how critical were points there where you heard the broadcast team talking about Kulwicki leads a lap and he picks up 5 points. A couple of other iconic voices that you hear in this broadcast. Ned Jarrett and another one of a man that I've had the pleasure to talk to, the great Dr. Jerry Punch. God, what a day. What a day. Let's go back and keep watching the 1992 Hooters 500.
Saw stuff flying.
There is the king out of the car. And this may be the final farewell.
But thank God he was able to walk away from it and wave to the fans.
But they ought to take the king back to the garage here and something better than a record.
Yeah, you're right about that. It's not a good way to end a career that has been so great. Now here's the crash. That's Trickle.
Ooh,
look at Dallenbach get bumped around.
And there's Richard Petty going in and hitting Darrell Waltrip. Looks like the rest of these cars able to slow down without too much trouble. And Richard driving down to the fire truck, like he said.
Little doubt as to who the sentimental favorite is to win this race and the championship today. It is Georgia's Bill Elliott from Dawsonville. Now there's second and third, Kulwicki, a Wisconsin driver, and Mark Martin, originally from Indiana. Jerry, what's the problem on that car?
Well, Mark Martin was radioed and told his crew the car is getting very, very loose. Steve Mills told me they will plan to bring him in around lap 147. That's about 4 laps, about 3.5 laps away. So we'll watch and see him and bring the Valvoline car in and put some fresh tires on in about 3 laps.
From his in-car camera, you guys see evidence of him fighting the thing?
No, it doesn't look that way, is it? Okay, now if we awarded the points right now, Davey Allison would win by 6 points over Kulwicki, by 11 over Bill Elliott. This thing is very, very close.
It is tightening up. And here comes Bill Elliott. The leader is on pit road. Again, slowing to make sure he observes the speed limit. Jerry.
And a 4-time winner at Atlanta Motor Speedway and the favorite son of many of the Georgia faithful in this capacity crowd today. Watch and wait as the Budweiser Ford Thunderbird comes to a halt. Tim Brewer and the crew go to work. Mike Hill. They all are changing all 4 tires, fueling the car. Henry Benfield lugs that 75-pound fuel can, shoves it against the left side of the car. Left side jack the car. Lug nuts going on. Fresh Goodyear Eagle, Bill sitting very patiently, and now 21.3 seconds. You heard Elliott squeal away. He wants to win the championship.
Elliott back out on the racetrack as he continues his pursuit for his second NASCAR Winston Cup.
Here's Kulwicki trying to get by Elliott. He takes the lead and would win the championship right now, the awarded points. Uh-oh,
but
spoke too soon.
Look at Bill. He's coming back on the outside, but no. Kulwicki is going to lead this lap by a half a car length.
Here comes Bill back. Takes the lead back.
That's the way to race for a championship.
That's the way to go for a championship.
And the fans at home, I hope, are loving it, because we are.
Spencer.
He sure is.
Watch, he's right on the back bumper of both these cars now.
Yeah, he wants to get up there and spoil that party.
Kowicki holding the inside line and Elliott holding the high line.
He just can't get up there. We can go up the racetrack and take the lead from Elliott.
Sorry about that. Where this is the first time that I can remember, if it ended right now, became a calculation into everything. I'm so excited. I forgot to turn the damn mic on. But you see it all the time. I mean, in different things that you watch right now. If it ended right now is a phrase or a technique used all so often. Yeah, you see it in divisional standings and different in races all the time. But the 1992 this Hooters 500, this is really the first time that I remember seeing if it ended right now. And this race was so, I mean, there was just such a back and forth with everything that was going on right here because there were so many guys that were still contenders in this race. As we have moved along forward into this, you keep seeing that number 4 Morgan McClure car, the Kodak car, which I think at that point is an Oldsmobile. I don't know. I think that's what it was. I'll have to go back and clarify that. If I'm wrong, I will definitely correct myself. That's Ernie Irvan. And this was really one of the times to where Ernie Irvan, Swervin' Irvan, as he became called, and I think a lot of you remember that and understand some of that, and what a career his was. When you talk about the triumph and the tragedy and everything that he has been through, we're just very blessed that he is still with us with everything that he's been through. But that 4 car was always one fast son of a bitch, and it only got faster in the years to come with another guy that's a hero of ours named Sterling Marlin. But that's for another show. But you start seeing that 4 car in the middle of everything. And as this race continues to go on and the leaders are going back and forth, somebody forgot to tell Ernie Irvan that there is a points battle on the line and that, as they say, maybe he should get out of the way. Give me a break. Let's keep watching.
Well, both of these guys know that Davey Allison has had problems, and they say, let's forget about Davey. We're going to slug it out for the But here comes Ernie Irvan.
That's it. Attaboy, Ern. Back out of there, boy.
Look at Jimmy Spencer. He's right in there, too.
These cars, as they run side by side, are
now I know
down.
they touched.
That scared them both to death. Maybe they'll back off and get in line now. No, here comes Kowicki back again. Here comes Ernie. He's going to help out. Is he?
Very definitely plays hard on this racetrack.
I mean, it's almost like someone said, hey, guys, you're racing for $1 million. Go for it. And Kowicki now has the lead. Here comes the leader, Kowicki, down pit road. Here's Elliott.
And Jerry Punch will be calling these pit stops.
And Benny, answering your question first, they will not be able to make it all the way unless Bill Elliott gets extra very good gas mileage. We're talking about 86 laps from here to lap 328 as they make their way down pit road. 7 on the top of your screen, 11 on the bottom, 7 come 11. They're rolling the dice here in Atlanta. Watch the crews go to work as Alan Kowicki's Hooters crew will change 4 tires on the top of your screen. While the Budweiser crew now going to work on Bill Elliott's car on the bottom. These 2 drivers vying for $1.4 million here in the last 86 laps at Atlanta.
So
Here's
86 to go
7
here in the
exiting
race.
pit
And
road,
remember,
4 tires being
at this
changed
point,
there.
Davey
You
Allison
see them
has
from
had
turn
some
1. They all are
problem.
scampering back on
He
the
comes
track.
in as the point
As
leader.
Kowicki beats Elliott
But as
back
they
on the
keep
racetrack,
doing,
and they
if it
resume
ended now,
positions here under the
You
caution.
don't see Davey there.
Just barely did he beat Bill Elliott out.
86
And
to
Rusty
go.
Wallace comes out in 3rd position. Kowicki leading and Petty trying to get that lap back, and Allen has never had a top 5 finish in Atlanta in 14 previous events. This by far his best outing at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and he is using the best time to do it.
But for the last 3 years here, he has earned more points.
Oh, look crash! Davey Allison is in the crash, Bob.
Oh, Ernie Irvin, and it's all over for Davey Allison.
No, it's not over yet. I don't think he hit him that hard, maybe.
Well, he hit pretty well, I think.
He's got a lot of damage to the right side of the car.
Ernie Irvin spinning, coming off of corner number 4.
Davey has got his car moving.
Yeah, he's trying to pull away,
But he can't
But he
steer it.
can't.
but it won't turn.
It won't turn. The right front will not work. Oh, no, the right front won't work. He's broken the tie rod end off the car, so when he turns the steering wheel, the right front tire won't turn. And there he's a lap down.
Kyle Petty got his lap back. He beat Alan Kowicki back to the start-finish line.
Davey desperately trying to get the car to turn, but it won't happen.
And in those days,
The car will back up, but he cannot turn the
these days of
car
NASCAR,
and move it ahead
you
to
race
clear
back to the line,
Ernie Irvin.
guys.
He's broken a tie rod
You've
on the
got a
right front.
melee
Like I said, when he
happening
turns the
right
steering wheel, the right
and
front
they're
tire
still, these laps are
won't
clicking
turn.
off. Davey Allison goes a lap down, sitting there with a broken
And now it's going
right
to come
front tire
down
rod.
to 2.
Unbelievable.
Davey Allison's long, tough, emotional season has come to an end.
What a strange twist and turn of events we've had today.
It has been an interesting season. It has been an even more interesting race.
And here comes Bill Elliott.
Now what he has to do is pass Alan Kowicki and keep him from leading the most laps.
So we're getting ready to
The Tim Brewer, Junior Johnson.
settle this thing out. So you've got Davey out of the way. So not out of the way. I mean, what has happened to Davey has happened. He was already in trouble, and then that situation right there, as I mentioned, Ernie Irvin. You were going to remember that name, and that's just Ernie Irvin doing what I mean. That was a very aggressive driver out of California at that time in a very fast race car that didn't give a damn. He's going for the win. I mean, he's going for the win. That happens right there. And, of course, there were other things there with Ernie Irvin, as I mentioned before. So you've kind of gotten all of this. You've whittled things down. You've still got Kyle, Petty still in the race, Harry Gant still in the race. But you've really trimmed this thing down to where Davey is no longer a factor, and now it is a 2-horse race. Now you are down to Bill Elliott and the Junior Johnson Thunderbird, as weird as that was to say at the time, Budweiser Thunderbird. And then you had Alan Kowicki in his own mount right there, sponsored by Hooters, and one of the most epic chases that we've ever seen in the history of NASCAR culminates right now as these two get ready to settle the 1992 Winston Cup Championship. This is so fun to watch right now, but how damn fun was it to watch 31 years ago? Great stuff.
Those guys are smart enough to realize, Bill, you've got to pass that 7 and lead the rest of the way. If you do that, we can win this baby. Because they would be tied if he can do that. And Elliott has won more times this year than Kowicki would make him the winner.
Exactly how he would do it. He's going for it.
Here he comes.
Closing in, not able to pass. This is the interval to about 2 car lengths.
Are you as nervous as I am, Bob?
I just hope these two guys don't do anything silly and take each other out. Elliott is way up on the racetrack.
Well, Allen stays out there.
Yeah, he does.
Man, he can't run out of gas down the front straightaway. He'll lose everything if he runs out now.
Yeah, that seems like it's just rolling the dice a little too much. Jerry, what are they thinking now?
They told Allen to pit that time by. Their calculations are it may not make it back. They said, you got to come in. As he went very high in turn 4, he must have just heard him, but he was already past pit entrance. So now he will come around and come in this lap. And he let Bill go by, and now we'll watch for Alan Kawicki to make it down pit road, and how long it will take him to get gas only and be able to get back on the racetrack. Drama playing out here in the final laps at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
He raised the hand and said, Bill, you go right on. I'm headed for pit road because I need some gas. And here he comes down slowly, 55 miles an hour. Less than 4 seconds for fuel. Derek Cope was right behind him for a pit stop.
Ned, could he have gotten enough fuel in that car in 3.5 seconds?
Well, I wonder about that, Jerry. Look at that can. Did he get enough of it in there?
I tell you, the can still looks awfully heavy. And you got to wonder, they're going to bring the can over and weigh it. That's how you determine how much fuel they got in that can. And you've got to wonder, boy, wouldn't that be something to lose it on about 1.5 seconds fuel stop? They just put the can back up. They probably don't even want to know.
Now, there's not much they can do about it now. If they didn't get enough and he doesn't make it, that's it.
I don't know how quick a can will empty nowadays. They have certainly got it down to a science so that they can get it out of there in a hurry. They might be able to get 10 gallons out of there in about 8 or 9 seconds. So he was, what, 3.4 seconds that we clocked him there?
Yeah.
And you're right, Ned. He did not lose a lap. Bill Elliott is about a half straightaway behind him. The leader of the race is now Bill Elliott. Here comes Bill.
Here comes Elliott. Elliott drops down off the banking. Here he comes, Jerry.
Bill Elliott heads down pit road in the Budweiser Ford Thunderbird. This could decide the Winston Cup Championship. Kyle Petty's smoking Pontiac leaves a trail of smoke, and Elliott must drive through here on pit road. Tim Brewer and the crew standing by. Watch Henry Benfield. He's a veteran gas man. Cass going in the car, sitting out 3.4 seconds. Elliott is away for an identical pit stop. 3.4 seconds for both these guys who got enough fuel in to finish the race.
Both with identical pit stops. Elliott goes back out onto the racetrack. Here comes Alan Kawicki through turn number 1. Can Elliott get up to speed and get the lead?
Yes, he will. He will have the lead when this all boils down. So far, Terry Labonte has not made a pit stop. He's still the leader.
And he came in that last caution and kept his fuel off. He's going to try to go the
He's
whole
trying
way.
to go the rest of the way. So
as far as winning the race is concerned. But the championship,
so Bill Elliott's going to lead 16 more laps.
Terry Labonte's going to lead these laps.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So Bill Elliott, if it finishes this way, he can't win the championship.
The crew has just told Alan Kawicki that if Bill leads the rest of the laps, that Alan will still get credit for leading the most laps. Therefore, they told Alan to back off, give Bill the race, conserve fuel, and we will win us a championship.
Exactly right. Just what we said a few minutes ago.
That
if
was
Bill
the moment
leads
of
the
the
rest
race.
of the way,
You had to
Alan
lead the
will have
most
led the
laps.
most
You
by
got a bonus.
one single
You got a
circuit.
bonus.
Kyle Petty
And the
has
way
just
this
been
thing
black
shakes
flagged.
out, guys, unbelievable.
What, 3 more laps, Ned?
3 to go.
3 more for Kawicki.
That's it.
I'll tell you what a day this has been.
Elliott has a rather substantial lead. He's entering turn number 3 as Allen is halfway down the backstretch. So it's a fairly substantial lead for Bill Elliott. But it's really, besides his 5th victory of the year, going to do him no good because he's going to lose the Winston Cup.
2 more laps for Kawicki.
Petty again.
Hamilton has just run out of gas, and Richard Petty coming out of the garage area.
Here comes Richard in the SDP Pontiac. He has the car running again with just 2 more laps to go, but he will be on the racetrack when the checkered flag drops. He was involved in a spectacular accident early in the race. It saw the car break an oil cooler up front, caused some Some white flag is out, causing some fire, but Richard is back out on the racetrack. The white flag is out. Now Alan Kowicki comes down and gets it. There is less than 1 lap to go around this 1.5 mile oval at Atlanta Motor Speedway. We are not following the winner, the leader of the race. We are focused in on Alan Kowicki, who is going to win the 1992 NASCAR Winston Cup and the $1 million bonus that goes with it. Bill Elliott comes off the 4th corner. He wins the Hooters 500. But Alan Kowicki is coming off of corner number 4, knowing that he's winning the championship. There's the checkered flag for Alan. He's the champion for 92.
There's one happy human being right there. Alan Kowicki has got to be on top of the world right now. Undoubtedly, the most happy moment of his life.
Last time an owner driver won the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship was Richard Petty in '79, and how appropriate on the day he retires, Alan Kowicki becomes the first since then to win the title as driver and owner. Here's Jerry.
And Bob, there were those that questioned his sanity 2 years ago when he turned down the likes of Junior Johnson and Bud Moore and Rick Hendrick to do it yourself. And Alan, today, it had to be all worthwhile. Congratulations.
I'll tell you, man, this is like living a dream here. The car ran great. Our engine was fantastic all day, and car handled real well. And the Goodyear tires, this is the fastest we've ever run at this track and the longest the tires have ever lasted. The Goodyear radials work great. I got to thank my sponsors, Hooters Restaurant, Naturally Fresh Salad Dressings, Classic Mixers, and Ford Motor Company. This Ford Thunderbird's been a great car for us all year long. We ran great. I led the most laps. I knew how far I had to go in a race to lead the most laps, and at that point, you know, there was no way that he could beat me. I was a little bit safe coming down pit road, and we lost first gear in the transmission on our first pit stop. So I had trouble getting out of the pits all day long. You know, I think that's probably where he made up a little bit of time on me, was, you know, getting in and out of the pits because we were having transmission trouble. But at that point, I knew where we were. You know, I wanted to win the race because we had led quite a while, but there'll be other races, but this championship's what I wanted. And I just, you know, thank God for the fortune to be here and to be in America and compete on the Winston Cup circuit. Man, when I moved down south years ago, this was my dream. I came in a pickup truck and a trailer, and I want to thank all the people that along the way in ASA and everywhere in my career have helped me. And you know, I said that we nicknamed this car the Underbird today. We're going into this race the underdog, and we ran good. I'm really proud of the whole team. Paul Andrews, Danny Glad, Ron Vaccaro, Randy Clary, the guys in the engine shop did great. There's more Gary Preziosi and Shane Parsnow, Tony Gibson, Pete Jackson, Jeff Bice, Tom Mount, on and, you know, if I forgot anybody, I'm sorry, but it was a team effort. We got a great team, and I'm really proud of them. I couldn't have done it without them. It's, you know, I said, this is a long answer to one question. Cut me off whenever you're ready.
That's fine, Alan. I know you're going to catch your breath. Let us just congratulate you again on becoming the 1992 Winston Cup champion. Congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, this is just a storybook ending, having Hooters sponsor the race, and my dad's here, and just really wonderful.
Alan Kowicki, how appropriate here in his 7th year of driving in Winston Cup that he would drive car number 7 to the Winston Cup Championship. The last one to win as a car owner and a driver. Who else but King Richard Petty? Richard, it's been a wonderful 4 decades, and it's over.
Yeah, that's what I found out when I made that last lap. It's been wonderful. I mean, 35 years, the good Lord's looked after us all these years, and you know, I'm still walking around. You know, I hate to got in a wreck and disappointed me and some of the fans, but the big deal is we're here talking to you when it's over with, and I wouldn't change none of it. I wouldn't trade nothing for nothing else.
Neither would we. Thank you so much, Richard, for all the memories.
Well, Bill Elliott, you did just about everything you could. You won the race, but as you said when you climbed out of the car, hey, I won, but I lost.
Well, it's been a long year, and, you know, regardless of what happens, it's been one of those type seasons, and a lot of things has happened, and I mean, I'm just glad it's over with. This Budweiser Amoco team has done a fantastic job all year long. And to go out, winning the race, the last race Richard Petty will ever run in, I guess that says something. You know, we've done about everything else. We didn't win a championship. And I think we're going to go up to Bill Elliott Ford tomorrow. We're going to have a hell of a car sale.
Okay, I'll see you there. Bill Elliott in Victory Lane, guys.
What a day. There it was. That was the 1992 Hooters 500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And just so many different things there that you go back and you take all that in. And obviously, the sad part about this is, the great thing is, you know, with Alan winning that championship right there, engineer by trade, comes in and he's not from the South. He makes his way over and like you talked about right there, man, he turned down opportunities to race for Junior Johnson, for Bud Moore, for a lot of these guys. Wanted to do it all on his own. And a lot of people said he was bullheaded and stubborn or whatever, but shit, man. Proof is in the pudding. He won himself a championship right there. Pull that Hooters sponsorship in. And, I mean, you think about that now. Just think about, you know, you've got Hooters in line, ironically, now with Chase Elliott. But is Alan Kulwicki the guy that you would associate with Hooters? You know, it was just such a great game plan and strategy that he had. And that was just the beauty of what he did right there. And with Richard Petty, the final race right there, we didn't really go into a lot of detail talking about Jeff Gordon, but, you know, Gordon running his first race there with Rick Hendrick, and what a story that had been with Gordon, you know, driving for Bill Davis over on the Busch Series, and Rick Hendrick seeing the potential and the opportunity there with Gordon, woos him over to GM, and ironically, it happens years later to where there's a guy named Jimmy Johnson that really didn't seem to be a guy that was setting the Busch Series on fire like Gordon did. But then they wooed that dude in. And what did Jimmy Johnson do? He won himself 7 championships, just like Richard Petty did when he walked away that day. When he walked away November 14th, 1992. And ironic that one career ended and the other one started that day. And even sadder when you look deeper into this, great championship day there for Alan Kulwicki. But, I mean, fast forward a year, and Alan and Davey were both gone. Alan in a airplane accident, Davey, a helicopter accident there at Talladega. So that's just to where this whole day is even more, it's so monumental with what the race did, what this Hooters 500 in 1992, what it brought us and what it did for the sport. But at the same time, the bittersweet part that imagine this. This is one thing that I think about all the time is, yes, lots of great names that, with Gordon and Terry Labonte and guys that, as we got into the 90s, and Sterling Marlin and guys that really did amazing things in the sport. But had we not lost Alan Kulwicki and Davey Allison in less than a year after what we just watched, what would have happened? What stories would we be telling of NASCAR had that not happened? But, you can't go back and you can't change that stuff. But the one thing that you can do is you can go back and you can appreciate days like the 1992 Hooters 500 at Atlanta. What a day that was. Alan Kulwicki, Bill Elliott, damn, racing this thing out the way that you should. You just race this thing out. Friends, I hope that you've enjoyed this. Like I said, smash that like button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel here with RPM Sports Media. I'll be doing these during the off season. This is how we're going to spend the off season. Going back, recounting not only NASCAR races, we'll do late model races, we'll do dirt races, Texas Friends. I'm pulling up some Texas racing stuff. That's what we're going to do right here. Thank you for checking in as we go back and appreciate 31 years later the 1992 Hooters 500. Take care, friends.